Kevin Durant from the University of Texas.
Kevin Durant, the snake. It's been a minute since my first video about this man. Over a year actually. Wow, how time flies. But it was thanks to my enormous fan base and the outpouring of support I got for the first video that I finally decided to come and finish this fucking follow-up. If you haven't yet graced yourself with the viewing of the first video, link is in the description, go watch it then come back. In those past 12 months, a lot actually happened. The greatest starting five in NBA history got raped by injuries, and by the end of the finals it had been reduced to Steph Curry, a donkey, and a fat sack of potatoes playing a really fun guy.
I'm a fun guy.
Fun guy. Fun guy.
Fun guy. He's a fun guy.
Not only did the Warriors fail to three-peat and Boogie not get his free ring,
Denied.
lol, the Warriors super team is no more and parody has returned to the league at last. With all these good feelings at the moment, it can be easy to nearly forget and forgive KD for his snake move in 2016.
Yes, that's about something.
Should get over it.
No, time may heal all wounds, but that still doesn't mean that Kevin Durant isn't the snake. KD can return to the Nets and bring them the first championship in franchise history. That's great, and no doubt that will increase my respect for him and put him a few rungs higher on the all-time great list. He'll still be a snake though. Time does not change the fact that Kevin Durant is a snake. He will always be a snake from now and until the day his fragile body frame collapses and he dies. This is why Kevin Durant will always be a snake. Part 2.
It's official, number 73. The greatest regular season in NBA history now belongs to the 2016 Golden State Warriors.
This team is incredibly special. Somebody had better figure Curry out. He's ruining career. If you're Russell Westbrook and Kevin Durant, your talent is too great not to have a championship. Yep. It doesn't look like you're going to have one with this kid standing in your way. What are you going to do if you're running into this kid?
Back in 2016, after the greatest regular season in NBA history and going to 7 games in the finals, the Golden State Warriors had just proven themselves to easily be in the conversation for one of the greatest NBA teams in history. And of course, this was all before Kevin Durant, the self-proclaimed best player in the world who was realistically always number 2, slithered his way onto their roster. Despite what KD will tell you,
nothing is in this league is easy. There's no shortcuts. You know, this was the hardest road.
this was, without a doubt, the easiest, most pathetic route he possibly could have taken to a championship. Like, literally the easiest. Look at all the teams he could have signed with in 2016. What he chose was a cakewalk. Zero fucking risk it wouldn't pan out.
You were a scoring champion 4 times. You was an MVP. And you go join the best team in basketball.
The 73-win team that had won the championship the year before that KD joined forces with it had to give up very little to get him. That championship core of Steph, Klay, Draymond, Iggy, they were all still there. The only pieces the Warriors really had to give up was good old Harry Barnes and Andrew Bogut, the Australian GOAT. In layman's terms, KD basically caused a fellow Australian of mine to get kicked off from a contending team, which just makes this whole thing that much more personal. Now, you'll hear KD fans argue that this was the same as LeBron's move to Miami, but just, please, no it wasn't.
Now, I don't want to hear any comparisons to that of LeBron James when LeBron James left Cleveland for South Beach.
LeBron's move to Miami to team up with Bosh and Wade, although obviously a huge cop-out and a weak move, it was still no free ride to an NBA championship. The Heat did make 4 straight finals appearances, although that can be attributed to how the rest of the East, outside of maybe 1 or 2 teams each year, was basically a pile of shit. And the 2 playoff runs that did bring that Heat team championships involved them enduring tough multiple 7-game series to do so. These championships weren't served on a platter like KD's were, they were more akin to takeaway at local Maccas. Furthermore, the team LeBron joined didn't win 73 games the season prior. In fact, The total win figure was about 34% or so less. This was a 47-win Heat team that hadn't made it out of the first round of the playoffs since their 2006 title run. And once the Big Three formed, outside of these three dudes, there was very little depth to this team, with the fourth best player being, at least before Ray Allen got there, Mario fucking Chalmers.
Mario Chalmers?
Everybody's favourite teammate. Compare that to the depth of the Warriors team KD joined. He literally had a finals MVP coming off the bench. You don't get a slogan like strength in numbers for nothing. LeBron went to Miami to build and create something great, and was the main reason for the ensuing greatness Miami experienced. Kevin Durant, on the other hand, simply joined greatness. He had done nothing in building Golden State up to be a top team in the league. They were literally the best team in the league before he got there. Another defense for Durant put forward by his fans is that because KD won 2 rings with the Warriors, this obviously validates his move and rescinds any and all criticism of said move. For example, here's what Mama Durant, who is probably fair to call KD's biggest fan, had to say after the 2017 finals.
If I had a mic, I would drop it. It's over. Read my shirt.
It says NBA champion.
Well, I think it's just the beginning of his legacy. It's, so this is a part of the legacy that will continue.
Mama Durant, I'm sorry, but you gave birth to a snake, and that is a shit argument. Durant did not prove a single thing we didn't already know in the 2017 finals. The entire reason for the NBA world's outrage over KD's sneaky move was because we all knew exactly how ridiculously dominant the Warriors would be with him on their team, and how great he would no doubt perform within the Warriors system. Nobody ever questioned the amazing talent or skill KD possesses. He had already proven to be one of the greatest scorers in NBA history. The man is a 6'11" 3-point sniper that can handle the ball like a guard. So no shit, if he joins a team where he'll be playing alongside 2 of the greatest 3-point shooters in history, including the all-around GOAT shooter himself, Steph Curry, I think it's pretty obvious the game is going to become much more easier for him. And the fact he's working in a system that focuses on sharing the ball and generating open looks, further utilising KD's shooting ability, then yes, I think everybody in their right mind knew Kevin Durant was going to win in Golden State. The only reasonable way anyone could doubt this happening was if the whole team managed to get injured, which is exactly what we just saw unfold in the 2019 playoffs, and that Warriors team still got within 1 shot of Game 7 in the NBA Finals. Thus, as the Warriors coasted their way to back-to-back championships, everyone's outrage has proven to be absolutely justified. This was a legitimate NBA team that, if healthy, could literally win the championship with Kevin Durant sitting his skinny, scaly ass on the bench for the entire playoffs. That's just how good this Warriors team was.
Really good.
And yeah, we literally just saw this hypothetical scenario play out in real life in the 2019 playoffs. KD goes out with a calf injury in the 3rd quarter of Game 5 in the 2nd round, and instead of falling to any momentum that should have been gained by the Rockets from the opposing team losing their best player, the Warriors won that game, and the next one, closing out the series, and then they won the next one, and the next one, and the next one, and the next one, and boom, the Warriors had gone 6-0, sweeping their way through the Western Conference Finals to make yet another NBA Finals appearance.
The Warriors do it again. Another comeback as they defeat the Blazers here in overtime and advance to their 5th consecutive NBA Finals.
By this point, injuries were effectively eating the entire Warriors roster. It was like nobody was healthy. Kevon Looney wasn't 100%, Iggy was playing through an Achilles issue, Klay was obviously nowhere near healthy, and DeMarcus Cousins of the BFG, the big fat giant, after missing over a month of basketball, was rustier than a nail in a woolshed, missing open layups that should have been dunks. You know something is wrong when Sean Livingston is playing major minutes in the NBA Finals at shooting guard, whilst the man can literally not shoot. And it was this injury-riddled Warriors team without KD that took the fully healthy Kawhi-led 58-win Raptors team with home court advantage to a very close 6 games, with the possibility of a Game 7 being decided by 1 single shot. In other words, the Warriors are really fucking good without KD. They actually played so good in the 2019 playoffs without him that the media started discussing if they were perhaps even better without him.
Are the Warriors better offensively with Kevin Durant not on the floor?
Obviously, that is a fucking stupid premise and take that didn't need to be discussed. The only reason it was is because everyone in the NBA media is stupid, but the fact it was suggested does illustrate how good they are as a team without KD. Over the 3 years in which KD was a Warrior, the Warriors' record when Steph plays and KD is out is 34-8. That's a winning percentage of 80%, and mind you, that includes playoff games like the 2019 finals where Steph's team was gutted by injuries. If you extrapolate that winning percentage of 80% out for a whole season, that equates to 66 wins. Pretty bloody good, without KD playing. Compare this to what would happen to that Miami Heat team should LeBron be forced to sit out for the playoffs. Led by D Wade and a healthy Chris Bosh, they could probably get to the Eastern Conference Finals, sure, but Any further? Probably not. Don't get me wrong, they'd be good. But with the third option being a guy with the first name Mario, and an Asian Dwayne Wade getting further from his prime each year, this team isn't going that far without LeBron anytime soon. Although KD did get his grubby hands on 2 rings and 2 finals MVPs whilst playing in the Bay Area, that absolutely does not mean he automatically deserves the same respect that is reserved for other NBA champions. KD's rings, they don't really count. KD was guaranteed 3 rings in Golden State. There was no risk and no challenge for him going there. They are more pathetic than his biceps. When you're a player as great as KD is, you shouldn't need to jump on the back of greatness that was great long before you ever got there and get piggybacked along the ride for 3 rings. You don't get credit for winning when you join a team that just had the highest winning percentage in a regular season in league history. You lanky buffoon.
Is that like a personal attack or something? Or...
Yes.
No amount of wins, no amount of championships would validate Kevin Durant's move. It's about the fact that he took a shortcut to a championship.
One positive thing I can say about KD joining a 73-win team is that it was a bold move. One that wrecked his legacy, sure, but a bold move nonetheless. This move sent a clear message to the rest of the league, and with it, set new precedent for other players to follow. The precedent set in question is that it is okay for superstars in their prime to go join already established super teams. This is something that is going to impact the league well into the future, and we've already seen what the potential consequences can look like. Last offseason, DeMarcus Cousins, at the time viewed as perhaps the best centre in the league when healthy, a title he no longer holds because obviously Steven Adams, chose to decline a 2-year $40 million offer from the Pelicans and instead opted to join the already super stacked Warriors and was content with being paid pennies on the dollar for his free ring. Now, okay, I know. What ended up happening is the Warriors of course lost in the finals and Boogie did not win his free ring. But this is literally only because of injuries which can't be foreseen, particularly also for Boogie. Boogie's body has just crumbled from constant injuries since his Achilles tear in 2018, but in theory, if he was healthy like he should have been, then this is a 25-13 player joining what is already a dynasty in the NBA. A dynasty that had one single weakness, its centre position, an issue he was able to do something about, if healthy. That is insane to me. It's saying all the best players in the league should just go and join the best team. Who needs competition anyway? Trying to earn a ring is for peasants. If KD hadn't already set the precedent for NBA stars to go join already stacked super teams, then there's no way Boogie goes to Golden State. The old Boogie from a couple years ago, the guy who would say to Golden State fans, that dude would never have decided to throw his integrity out the window just to get a free ring. Now listen, granted, I know, superstar players making their way to a really good team isn't exactly a brand new concept. Obviously, one simply only needs to look back to the Big 3 in Boston or the Big 3 in Miami, for example. However, when you take the time to consider the context around each move compared to one another, it becomes very clear very fast just how significantly worse KD's move was, and thus how he set a new level of precedent. Let me explain. In 07, when KG and Ray teamed up with the wheelchair man in Boston,
I just had to go to a bathroom.
This move basically told the rest of the league that it's alright for 3-star players towards the latter end of, or just past their prime, to join forces on a team together. 3 years later we have LeBron James. He's angry.
Scorer mit 36 Punkten.
He wants to win, but his teammates are no better than a bag of peanuts. The Cleveland organization sucks. LeBron is sick of Cavs management's incompetence.
You're behaving like a bunch of fucking little dickheads.
And he finally decides to take his talents to South Beach to team up with Barry Allen and a dinosaur. This set a new level of precedent. This move told the rest of the league that it's okay for star players just entering or in their primes to team up and form super teams. No question, LeBron is a bit of a soft bitch for this specific move, and there was, and absolutely justifiably, enormous outrage from the fans over this at the time. And yet, it still isn't close to the level of what Kevin Durant did. KD didn't only just join other star players in the prime, that was something LeBron had already set precedent for. No, KD joined the best team in the NBA, a team that had just won 73 games the season prior and was already considered in most respects to be a super team. This was a team that he just lost to in the playoffs, that he could have and should have beaten. A team with 3 All-Stars already on it and a Finals MVP on the bench. A team with the reigning back-to-back MVP and greatest shooter in history on it. Kevin Durant, a bona fide superstar.
You know who I am. Y'all know who I am. I'm Kevin Durant.
Decided to join that team. Kevin, you suck, mate. KD is one of the best basketball players in the world and history, and at least for the 2019 season, with an aging LeBum refusing to play defense and no longer being number 1 in the world, he probably was the best player in the world. Being a superstar of that level, when he speaks, everyone listens. So when Durant chooses to join the best team in the league, that screams out very loudly to the rest of the league and every player in it that joining a super team as a superstar player is no shame in it at all, mate. Who cares if your ring is worthless and legacy destroyed when at the end of the day you get a ring? Then all of a sudden it's no longer a ridiculous idea for superstar players to join super teams and a real option that future superstar free agents will seriously consider and entertain. Take this simple analogy for example. For a bit of fun, one of your friends decides to hang off the balcony of a 12th floor building. Then, to one-up him, you choose to jump off the balcony completely and kill yourself. In this situation, you are the fuckwit that took things too far. You are Kevin Durant. And now, because you jumped off the balcony first and killed yourself, all your other friends feel brave enough to be just like you and to also jump off the balcony and kill themselves just like you did before them. This is basically the same situation with Kevin Durant. Okay, that was a pretty horrible analogy, but my point was, while LeBron joining Miami did set new precedent, KD joining the Warriors was simply on a whole different level. Never before have you seen an absolute stud like Durant join an already established super team.
Skip, this is the first time we've seen something like this. This was a super team because they had already won 1 title. They won 73 games the year before he actually got there. So for him to go join a team that already had the reigning MVP, who was a top 5 player in the league currently, we don't normally see this.
The idea of superstar players all joining the team that is already considered to be the best in the NBA means that basically every other team is forever fucked in the hopes to win a championship. So what happens when teams can't compete with a super team with 5 all-stars in their starting lineup? Well then, other superstar players team up to form their own super team so they actually have a chance at competing. And then so begins the never-ending cycle of super teams. So when KD's defenders argue things like this,
maybe
they gotta get it together.
The other players gotta
work on their game a little bit.
Step it up. There's levels.
they are being naive. Outside of a super team being created, the only other feasible option for a team is to tank indefinitely until they get lucky enough to draft a generational talent like Zion. But even if a team is lucky enough to draft a future superstar, they're still likely fucked because if they can't compete with the reigning super team, then they can wave goodbye to their star player. Thus, small market teams become the main victims of this new NBA. Because what superstar free agents are going to form a super team the likes of Oklahoma, Charlotte, or New Orleans? The answer is they probably aren't. Unless Adam Silver makes the effort to put that puny skeletal body frame of his to work and actually implement meaningful rules that will prevent such fuck-off super teams like the 2019 Golden State Warriors should have been from ever forming in the inorganic way that they did. Otherwise, we can just expect the rich to get richer, the poor to stay poor, and for the integrity of the league to continue getting weaker, and for there to be an eternal, perpetual cycle of a few super teams with all the superstar players joining them, further rotting away what little integrity the league has left. Okay, you might think I was just being a little overdramatic and using hyperbole, and the fact this past off-season resulted in the most balanced NBA we've seen in a very long time does heavily contradict that point. The long term into the future, this precedent set by KD really could have serious ramifications for the league if more and more star players choose to follow a similar path to what KD has paved for them. I guess we have to wait and see.